Hello, it's Wednesday morning, and I'm recording the Gemara Shir and the Haggada Shir for tomorrow, for Thursday. We're on Lamed Amud Beis on top, and after having learned over the last few days about the Arba Parshas, Parshas Shkolim, Parshas Zohar, Parshas Parah, Parshas HaChodesh, what they are and when we do it. Now the Mishnah says, B'chamishis, on the fifth Shabbat, after all these four Parshas are over, Chozer in the Kesidron, you go back to regular. And the question is, L'Seder Mai, we go back to regular what? I had mentioned this a couple of days ago, that there's a dispute. What happens during these four Parshiyot? Do we replace the regular Parshas HaShavua with these four Parshiyot? Or we read the regular Parshas HaShavua, but during these four Parshiyot, it's just a special maftir. So again, did the reading of these four Parshiyos replace Parshas HaShavua, or did it just replace the maftir? So that's the Gemara's question, L'Seder Mai. We're going back to the regular order of what? Rab Ami says, L'Seder Parshiyos Uchozer, you're going back to regular Parshas HaShavua, because during those 4 weeks we have not read Parshas HaShavua. Rabbi Yirmiyah says, L'Seder Haftarah Suchayzer. You go back to the regular Haftarah. But during these four Parshas, we read the regular Parshas HaShavua. We just changed the Haftarah, and now we go back to regular Haftarahs. Amar Abaya says, Kivosei de Rab Ami Mistavra. According to Rab Ami, Mistavra is more logical, that we've changed the whole Kriya. Because in the very same Mishnah, the Tanan, we learned something else. We learned like Hoil Mafsikin. We learned that for every occasion, we will interrupt the regular and read the special. The Rosh Chodashim, on Rosh Chodesh, we will not do the regular Parshas HaShavua, but we'll read about Rosh Chodesh. L'Chanik Purim, for Chanik and Purim, we won't read the regular Parshas HaShavua, but we will read Nosei for Chanukah and Vayavai Amalek for Purim. L'Taniyos for fast days, Ulma Amodos, which we've discussed when Jews would pray and fast for the Karbanos to be kept, Ul Yom Kippurim, when Yom Kippur falls. In all these cases, we interrupt the regular and do the special. Bishlama, it is well understood, Lamanda Amar, according to the one that says, L'Seder Parshiyos Uchayzer, that whenever we're changing the Parshas HaShavua for the special, Hainu Deka Parsha B'chol. So there's a regular Parsha during the week. But instead of reading the regular Parsha during the week, if it's Rosh Chodesh or Chanukah or Purim or Tanis or Mamadas or Yom Kippur, instead of reading the regular Parsha during the week, we read the special. And the same would be for the Arba Parshas. Instead of reading the regular Parshas HaShavua, we'll read the special. El Lamandi Omar, but according to Rabbi Yirmiyah, who says that L'Seder Haftarah Zuchayzer, that in the Arba Parshas all we changed was the Haftarah. Well, Haftarah B'chol Me'ika. How would you explain then during the week, if it falls Rosh Chodesh, Chanukah, Purim, Tanis, Mamadas, Yom Kippur, we're going to change what? The regular Haftarah for the special Haftarah? But there never was a regular Haftarah during the week. In other words, there's two parts to the Mishnah. One has to do with Arba Parshas, and one has to do with weekdays. And during the Arba Parshas, and during the weekdays, we are going to make changes. But during the weekday, what we change is not the Haftarah. During the weekday, we change the regular Kriya of the Parshas HaShavua. So probably the same thing would be in the Arba Parshas. What we're changing is the Parshas HaShavua. The Idach and Rabbi Yirmiyah would say, Meh, Haggada v'Haggada. This is Kamsi and this is Kamsa. The two don't have to be exactly the same. The part of the Mishnah that talks about interrupting during Mondays and Thursdays, if you have a special occasion like Rosh Chodesh, Chanukah, etc., so there you're talking about changing the Parshas HaShavua for the special Kriya. The Arba Parshas, perhaps, there we're talking about changing the maftir. So they don't have to be exactly the same. The Gemara now asks, on a fast day, why do you have to interrupt and not read the regular Parshas HaShavua? We know that you read on a Tanis, you read in the morning at Shacharis, and you also read at Mincha. So simple. Likri mitzafra binyana diyayma. At Shacharis you could have read Parshas HaShavua, Ubemincha betanisa, and at Mincha you'll read the special Kriya for Tanis. You have two Kriyas, so you can do them both. The Gemara says Messiah. I guess this is a support le Rav Huna to what Rav Huna says. The Amar Rav Huna says mitzafra kinufia. On a fast day, the people would gather to the Beis Knesset in the morning, and since they gathered in the morning, so they didn't used to read, in those days, they didn't used to read Kriyas HaTorah in the morning, because everybody was busy gathering together to see what tshuva they have to do on what things they're doing wrong. Interesting. They gather, on a fast day, they used to gather early in the morning, and they did introspection to see what needs to be corrected. And since they're busy doing that introspection, they didn't used to read in the morning altogether. They only read in the afternoon. And since they read in the afternoon, they read Tanis and not Parshas HaShavua. Today, we read both in the morning and in the afternoon, and since we read B'Tanis, so for consistency, we read Tanis both in the morning and in the afternoon. Hechi Avdinan, how did they used to behave? What did they used to do on a fast day? Amar Abaya says, now to make this simple, I'm going to assume that the day from dawn until night is from 6 in the morning to 6 at night. So Amar Abaya says, Mitzafra, from 6 in the morning, Lepalga Diyayma, until noon, Ma'ainina, we would study B'mili Demota, the affairs of the city. What is it that we need to repair in the city? What do we need to do better? Mipalga Diyayma Lepanya, from 12 o'clock until the evening till 6. Riva Diyayma, 1/4, that would be from 12 to 3. Karu Umaftari, they would read the Torah and do Haftarah Benavi. Sounds like a 3-hour Kriyas HaTorah and Maftir. V'riva Diyayma, in the last quarter, from 3 to 6, Bo Rachmi, they davened and asked Hashem for mercy. Shanamar, as it says, Vayikru b'Sefer Torahs Hashem Elokeim Reviyat Hayom. They read the Sefer Torah of Hashem their God for a quarter of the day. That would be from 12 to 3. Ureviyat, and the last quarter, from 3 to 6, Misvadim, they would speak to God and confess their sins, Umishtachavim, and they would bow and pray. The Gemara asks, Ve'epachana, but maybe we should reverse the halves. In other words, maybe those 2 quarters of Kriyas HaTorah and Tefillah should be from 6 in the morning to 9, and from 9 to 12. And from 12 to 6, we should reflect on what the city needs to do better. Lo, salkedatach, that should not enter your mind. The Chsiv, it's written regarding the fast day that they did in the time of Ezra. Ve'elai, and to me, to Ezra, ye'asfu, they're gathered, kol chared b'divrei Elokei Yisrael, whoever trembled over the words of Hashem, al ma'al hagola, and they trembled reflecting on where they were Ma'al, where they sinned when they were in Golus. Al-Ma'al, where they were inappropriate, where they did things wrong against Hashem when they were in Golus. Vani Yoshev Mishamam, and I, Ezra, was sitting there stunned ad minchat erev, until noon. Uksiv, and it's written, uve minchat erev kamti mitaniti, and at noon I got up from my fast and I started to do the second half. So you see that they gathered to Ezra and reflected and spoke about the things that they had done wrong in Golus on the first half of the day. In order to really understand the next Mishnah and the following Gemara, it is highly useful to have a relatively good handle on Chumash, on Kriya. I'll do the best I can to explain, but you need to know your Chumash. On Pesach, the Mishnah says, Korin beParshat Moadot. We read a parsha which has to do with holidays, Shel Torah Kahanim in Sefer Vayikra, and that is in Parshat Emor, and it starts with Shor Okesev. That's what we read on Pesach. Ba'atzeret on Shavuot, we read Shiva Shavuot. We read about Shavuot, which is in Parshat Re'eh, but we don't start from there. We actually start earlier in Parshat Re'eh from Kol HaBchor. For Rosh Hashanah, we read B'chodesh Hashvi B'echad Lachodesh, on the 7th month, on the 1st of the month, which is all about Rosh Hashanah in Parshas Emor, but once again, we don't start from there, we start back from Shor Okesev. B'Yom Kippurim and Yom Kippur, we read Achrei Mot, which is all about Yom Kippur. B'Yom Tov Arishon Shel Chag, on the first day of Sukkot, Korin, B'Parshat Modot Shabbatot Kahanim. Once again, we read, says the Mishnah, the Parsha of holidays, which is found in Sefer Vayikra, which is in Parshat Emor, which starts with Shor Okesev. Ubishar Kol Yimot HaChag, the rest of the days of Sukkot, each day we read B'Korbanos HaChag. We read Parshas Pinchas, and each day where it describes the Korbanos brought on that day. B'Chanukah on Chanukah, we read about Nesiim. We read Parshas Nosai, where it talks about the korbanos that the Nesiim brought at the initiation of the Mishkan, because Chanukah was the initiation of the Mikdash. B'Purim on Purim, we read Vayova Amalek, which is in Parshas B'Shalach, the last 9 psukim of Parshas B'Shalach, because Purim has to do with Haman and Amalek. B'Rosh Chodoshim on Rosh Chodesh, we read Uv Rosh Chodshechem from Parshas Pinchas, but as you know, we don't start Uv Rosh Chodshechem, we start with Tzavos B'nai Yisrael as Korbani Lachmi. We start with the Parshas HaTamid, and then Shabbat, and then Rosh Chodesh. B'Mamadot, for those people who are praying that the Korbana should be accepted, they read B'Maseh Bereshis. They started from Bereshis Bora, in the beginning. B'Taniyot, on fast days, in those days, they used to read Brochos Eklolis, the blessings and the curses in Parshas B'Chukotai. But today, on a fast day, instead we read Vaychal from Parshas Kitisa. Ein mafsikim beklolot. In the middle of the reading of the curses, we don't interrupt with additional aliyot. Ela echad kore et kulam. One aliyah for the whole thing, and in the Gemara we will see why. B'sheni v'chamishi on Mondays and Thursdays, and also Shabbat Mincha, korin kesidron. You read the regular Parshas Hashavua. Ve'ein olin lahem min hacheshbon, but it doesn't add up. That means what we don't do is on Monday to read till Sheni, and on Thursday to go from Sheni to Shlishi, and then on Shabbat to read from Shlishi to the end. Or rather, on Shabbat Mincha, we don't read till Sheni, and then on Monday from Sheni to Shlishi, and on Thursday from Shlishi to Revi, and on Shabbat we finish the Parsha. But rather, every single time we start again from the beginning. On Shabbat Mincha, and Monday and Thursday we go from the beginning to Sheni, then on Shabbat we go from the beginning, the whole Parsha. Now, how do you know that on each Yom Tov we should read about the Yom Tov? Shenemar, because it says, Vaydaber Moshe et Ma'adei Hashem el Bnei Yisrael. Moshe spoke about the holidays of Hashem to the Bnei Yisrael. Now, certainly he told them about the holidays because he taught them everything. But he taught them something else, mitzvahs, and he gave them a mitzvah, shiu korin, that you should read kol echad ve'echad about each of the holidays, bismano, on the time of the holiday. Taner Rabbanon, the rabbis taught in a Braita, Pesach on Pesach Korin you read the Parshat Moadot. We read the Parsha of the holidays, which is in Sefer Vayikra in Parshat Emor, starting from Shor Okesef. Umaftirin, and the Haftorah and Navi is Pesach Gilgal, the Korban Pesach and the holiday of Pesach that was celebrated at Gilgal when the Jews crossed the Jordan River, first Pesach in Israel. Vo'idnan, today when we are in Galut, the Ika Trei Yomi, we have 2 days, 2 first days of Pesach. Yom HaKama, on the first day, the Haftorah is the Pesach Gilgal. The Haftorah is from Sefer Yeshua, the Pesach that was celebrated in Gilgal when they crossed the Jordan. Ulamochar, the second day of Pesach, we read the Pesach Yoshiyahu. In Melachim Bet, Perek Chav Gimel, the Korban Pesach, which was ordered by the king Yoshiyahu in his kingdom after they did a cleanup of Avodah Zarah in Israel. They had a big communal Korban Pesach. So Pesach is mentioned twice in Navi, once in Yeshua and Gilgal, and once later on towards the end of Beit Rishon in the life of King Yoshiyahu. Shar Yomot Pesach. What about the other days of Pesach? So far we just did the first 2 days. Malaket. You gather from different places in Chumash, V'Koreh, and you read Menyana Shel Pesach, different readings that have to do with Pesach. Mahi, what are those other readings that have to do with Pesach? Amar of Papa says, Mem, Aleph, Pei, Vav is your siman. Those 4 letters are a siman for the next 4 days of Pesach. What do they stand for? The Mem stands for Mishchu Ekhu Lachem in Parshat Bo, where Hashem tells Moshe to take a Korban Pesach. The Aleph stands for Im Kesef Talva, which is a Parsha in Mishpatim that also mentions Pesach. The Pei stands for Psal Lecha, which is a Parsha in Kitisa, which also talks about Pesach. And the Vav stands for Vayidaber Hashem al Moshe in Bahalotcha, where it talks about Pesach Sheni. Yom Tov Achron Shel Pesach. What about Shvi Shel Pesach, the 7th day of Pesach? Koren Vahi B'Shalach. We read Vahi B'Shalach, which is the Shira, because on the 7th day of Pesach is when they crossed the Yam. Umaftirin, and the Haftorah on Yom Tov is Vaydaber David, because Vaydaber David is also a Shira. So the Shira of David corresponds to the Shira of Moshe. Ulemachor, and Achron Shel Pesach. For us in Golah, that we have the last day of Pesach after Shvi Shel Pesach, we read Kol Abchor. We read Kol Abchor at the end of Parshat Re'eh. Umaftirin, and the Haftarah is Od Hayom. Od Hayom Benov, the story of where Sancheiriv, the king of Ashur, was surrounding Yerushalayim and waving his hand that he's going to destroy Yerushalayim, and Hashem destroyed his army, because that too happened on Pesach. Amar Abaya says, but V'ho'idna today, what the Mishnah said and what the Gemara just said has been changed. Nog alma lemikri, the people have a custom to read, and again, Mishach Tura, pull the ox. What's that all about? The word Mishach stands for Mishchu Ikhu Lachem, again, where Hashem tells the Bnei Yisrael to take themselves a Korban Pesach, which is found in Parshat Bo. Tura is the ox. Shor o Kesav o Ez, which is in Parshas Emor. That's the first 2 days. Then comes Kadesh, the third day of Pesach. We read Kadesh li kol b'chor. Kadesh li kol b'chor, which is found in the end of Parshat Bo. Then comes Bekaspa, Im Kesav Talves Ami, which is found in Mishpatim. Then comes Psol Lecha Shnei Luchot Avonim, that's found in Kitisa. B'madbara, then comes B'madbara, which is in Parshat Bahalotcha about Pesach Sheni. The seventh day is Shalach, B'Shalach, which we read the actual going out of Mitzrayim and the Kriyat Yamsuf. And Bukhra is B'Kol Abchor, the end of Re'eh, which is read on the last day of Pesach. So that's Meshach Tura, pull the ox, Kadesh B'Kaspa, sanctify with money, Psal, to carve out B'Madbara in the desert, Shalach Bukhra, send the firstborn. It was just a mnemonic, Mnemonic, just a memory aid. Ba'atzeret on Shavuot, we read Shiva Shavuot, that's the end of Re'eh, as it said in our Mishnah, but we start earlier from Kol Abchor. Umaftirin, and the Haftarah is Chavakuk, because Chavakuk talks about Matan Torah. Acherim Omer, others say that on Shavuot we should read B'Chodesh Hashlishi, on the third month, which is in Parshas Yitro, when the Bnei Yisrael arrived at Midbar Sinai, at Har Sinai. Umaftirin, and the Haftarah will be B'Merkava, on the first parak of Sefer Yechezkel, which talks about God's chariot, because God, so to speak, in his chariot came to Har Sinai. Although our Mishnah said, Ei maftirin b'merkava, you don't read it, we actually do. V'idna, today that we in Chutz La'aretz, Dika Trei Yomi, we have 2 days of Shavuot. Avdinon ketarvayu, we do both of them, but v'ipcha, we reverse it. On the first day we read Parshas Yitro, B'Chodesh Hashlishi, when we arrived in Har Sinai, and the Haftarah is the Merkava, the chariot of God of Yechezkel. And on the second day, we read Kol Habchor, which includes Shiva Shavuot from Parshas Re'eh, and the Haftarah is Chavakuk. Rosh Hashanah, we read B'Chodesh Hashvi, as we said in the Mishnah, the 7th month, the first day of the month, which is Rosh Hashanah. We actually start earlier from Shor Kesef. Umaftir, and the Haftarah is Haben Yakir Li Ephraim, a pasuk in Yirmiyahu, where God says that the Jews are his dear child. Yesh Omrim, some say that in Rosh Hashanah you should read Vashem Pokad Es Sora, which is the end of Parshas Vayera, which is in Vayera. Hashem remembered Sora because Sora was judged on Rosh Hashanah to have a child. Umaftir, and the Haftarah is Chana. Chana also was childless. It's a Haftarah from Sefer Shmuel, Aleph Perik Aleph, because she too was childless and was judged on Rosh Hashanah to have a child. So on the second day, we read Hashem Pakad Es Sora, Hashem remembered Sora, which is in Vayera, and the Haftarah of Chana from Sefer Shmuel. Both were childless and were judged on Rosh Hashanah that they'll have children. V'oidna, today, Dika Trei Yomi, though we have 2 days Rosh Hashanah, Yom HaKama, the first day, Ki Yesh Omrim. We do like the Yesh Omrim. We read from Vayera that Hashem remembered Sora, and the Haftarah is that Hashem remembered Chana, Ulamachar. And the second day, we read V'halikim Nisas Avram. Hashem tested Avram, and he brought Yitzchak on the Haggada, because we wish to remember that the Haggada of Yitzchak on our day of judgment. Umaftir, but the Haftarah is Haben Yakir Li, that a dear child to me is the Jewish people, says God. B'Yom HaKippurim and Yom Kippur Koren Achremot. And Yom Kippur we read Achremot. Umaftirin ki ko Omar Ram V'Nisa. So says Hashem, who is high and elevated, which has to do with tshuva. And Yom Kippur is the day of tshuva. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yochanan says, Kol mokom shata motzei gvurosei shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, wherever you find God's power, Atamotze anvisanusa. There you find God's humility. Dover said this idea that God's humility is mentioned together with His power. Kosev b'Torah is written in the Torah. V'shanui, it's repeated again b'Neviim in Navi. U'mishulish, and a third time b'Ksuvim in Ksuvim. Kosev b'Torah, in the Torah it's written, Ki Hashem Elokeichem, Hashem your God, Hu Eloheiho Elohim, He is the greatest power over all powers, Ba'adonai ha'adonim, and the master of all masters. So He's great. Ksiv Basrei, and then it says, Osa Mishpat Yosaim Va'almana. God does justice for the orphan and the widow, and God looks after the lowliest and the weakest. Shonoi b'Neviim is repeated in Navi in Yeshayahu Perik Nun Zayin. Ki Koi Amar Ram V'Nisa, so says Hashem who is elevated and high. Shochenad v'Kodesh, the one who rests forever and is holy. And then Ksiv Basrei, and afterwards it writes, V'Esdaka Ushval Ruach. Hashem is close to the lowly and to the humble. So even though He is Ram V'Nisa, He stays close to the humble and the lowly. Mishulish B'Ktuvim, it's a third time in Ktuvim. D'chtiv, it's written in Tehillim, Solu, say praises, L'rochev B'Aravot, to the one who rides in the seventh heaven, which is Aravot. B'Ka Shemo, His name is Ka, and He's high. Uksiv Basrei, what's written afterwards is He's Avi Yatomim V'Dayin Almanot. He's the father of orphans and the judge who helps out the widows. Just a small little explanation. The simple reading of the Gemara means that although God is great, but yet He takes, so to speak, He cares even about the lowly. No matter how high He is, He still cares about the lowly. But I once thought of a different interpretation. In regular, common life terms, people who like to look powerful always hang around other people that are powerful or famous. Whenever there is a picture to be taken, they make sure that their face is in the picture because they want people to think that just like these other people are important, I am also important, I am like them. But they wouldn't want to have their picture taken with people that are unimportant, because if you associate with unimportant people, people will think of you as unimportant. But the true test of greatness and the true test of importance is people who are really great and people who are important, that are so great and important that they don't need the validation of others so that they should be considered great and important. They're great and important on their own. They don't need the support of being in the picture with others. They don't need their name to be mentioned with others. They don't have to drop other people's important names in order to validate themselves. There is a pasuk in the Shir HaYichud, Kol tinoifes loiset anfucha. There is no soil that can soil God. Nobody has to, Warren Buffett or Bill Gates don't have to associate with rich people in order that people should know that they're rich. So God doesn't really need anything in order to validate His greatness. And the proof of it is that God has no issue with being and associating with and helping and joining the most humble of the humblest and the weakest of the weak, because God knows that it's not going to affect Him in any way. That's why Kol Mokam Shatamoitzi, wherever you find the greatness of God, you find His humility, and that is the sign of His greatness. He's great enough to be able to afford to be humble. It's not going to it's not going to ruin His reputation. Yom Tov Rishon Shel Chag, on the first day of Sukkot, Korin beParshat Moedo Shebetorat Kahanim. You read the Parsha of Yom Tovim in Vayikra, once again, like it said in the Mishnah, in Parshat Emor, which starts with Shor Kesef, Umaftirin, and the Haftorah is Hine Yom Bo LaHashem. It's a pasuk in Sefer, it's a kriya from Sefer Zechariah, Perik Yudalid. Bo'idna Dika Trei Yomi, today that there's 2 first days of Sukkot, Lemochar Mikra Hachinami Karina. Both days we read the same thing, Shor Kesef from Parshat Emor. Afturi Mai, what is the Haftorah on the 2 days of Sukkot? Maftir, and the Haftorah is Vayikalu El HaMelech Shlomo. They gathered to King Shlomo on Sukkot because that was right after they had the 7-day initiation of the Mikdash. Ushar, so the first day of Sukkot we have the Haftorah of Hine Yom Bo LaHashem, and the second day Vayikalu El HaMelech Shlomo. Shar Kol Yimot HaChag, and the other days of Sukkot, Korin, we read B'Korbonot HaChag. The Korbonot, as we said in the Mishnah, every day in Parshas Pinchas, there's the Korban brought by Yom HaShlishi, Yom HaRavi, Yom HaChamishi. Yom Tov Achron, on Shmini Atzeret, Korin Kol HaBchor, we read Kol HaBchor at the end of Parshat Re'eh. You'll notice that we read that on the Achron Shel Pesach, we read it on the second day of Shavuot, and we read it on Shmini Atzeret, on the last day of Yom Tov, which has in it also Aser Ta'aser, and all the mitzvot and the chukim, all the mitzvahs of tzedakah, and lending money and being kind to the poor, because that usually applies to Sukkot. Sukkot is when you gathered your harvest and you have money, and that's where you give tzedakah. Ubechor, we continue from Aser to Aser to Kol HaBchor. Umaftir, and the Haftorah is Vahika Chalot Shlomo. When Shlomo finished his prayer, he sent the people off. L'mochar, on the following day, which is Simchas Torah, Korin, we read V'zot HaBrocha. That's what we do. Umaftir, and the Haftorah is Vayamot Shlomo. And Shlomo stood and he blessed the people, because V'zot HaBrocha has to do with Shlomo blessing the people. But we don't do that. On Simchat Torah, we read V'zot HaBrocha, and for the Maftir, we continue in the beginning of Sefer Yehoshua. I think the Gemara was relatively easy. It was just you had to know your Chumash. But I'm just going to English it again through the Gemara, starting from the top of Lamed Amud Bet. B'chamishit, on the fifth week after the 4 parashiyot are over, you go back to regular. The Gemara asks, L'seder Mai, the regular what? Reb Ami says we go back to reading the regular Parshas HaShavua, because for 4 weeks we have not read Parshas HaShavua. Reb Yirmiyah says we go back to reading a regular Haftorah, because for 4 weeks we have not read the regular Haftorah. Abaye says Reb Ami is more logical, that we're going to go back to read the regular Parshas HaShavua, because the Mishnah says that for every occasion we will interrupt the regular Parshas HaShavua and read either Rosh Chodesh, or Chanukah from Naso, or Purim from B'Shalach, or for fast days, which is Vaychal, or Ma'amodos, which is Bereshit, or Yom Kippur, which is Achrei Mot. It's well understood, according to the one that says that after the 4 parashiyot we go back to the regular order of Parshat HaShavua. So the same thing is on these occasions there is a parsha during the week, and we don't read the parsha of the week. Instead, we read the regular parsha. So there's a consistency. Whether it's Arba Parshiyot or during the week when there's a special occasion, we change the Parshas HaShavua for the special reading. But according to the one that says that during the Arba Parshiyot, we just read a different Haftorah, and now let's say the Haftorah to Choser, we're going back to the regular Haftorah, but during the week there was no Haftorah that we changed for a special Haftorah. Yeah, but the other opinion who says that during the Arba Parshiyot all we changed was the Haftorah, HaKadeita v'HaKadeita. When it came to Arba Parshiyot, it was Kamsi. Kamsi meaning we changed the Haftorah for a different Haftorah. And this is Kedita Kamsa. During the week when there is a regular Parshas HaShavua, but if it's Rosh Chodesh or Chanukah, etc., we change from Parshas HaShavua to a